Okay. Okay, so let's start. So I will start from this addressing mode, and I will continue as usual way that I will keep these slides in this format because I have to write lots of things in between. Okay, so that is why I am using this non-presenting mode actually, whatever may be. So once you will start the addressing modes, some basic discussion is required. Okay, again I will say that this type of text I will not say too much. You will just read it, but still some important part which is required, that who is the opcode, who is the operand, who is the operator. So all this example already I have given to you, right? Operand, operator and opcode. So just like this example again, add R1 R2, so is add will be your opcode associated with it, R1 R2 is the operand, and whenever you are trying to perform this operation like x plus 5, this plus sign will be your operator. So this thing already has been discussed in previous class. I hope nobody has any problem regarding this operand, operator and opcode. Okay, if any problem, then in between today's class also you can discuss. This thing can be repeated again, no problem. Then we are going to discuss this addressing mode. Okay, so as name suggests, again I will repeat the word as name suggests. Always I used to take this word address. So that means somewhere your operand or operator or opcode is being stored, right? So somewhere is being stored. So that means from some location you have to fetch it after computation or after being performing some operation. You have to somewhere to store it. So whatever may be related to some location, right? Because once you are performing something, that means you need some data. You have performed something, you need to present the data. So how you will fetch, how you will store, so all these things need to some location that somewhere you have to store. Okay, so addressing mode actually related to all these operations, that how you will store, where you will store, or from where you will fetch, so all these things. And this type of thing, that so much where I am using, that where you will store, from where you will fetch. So this where is actually related to the effective memory address. Okay, effective memory address. That means on that particular time, which memory address is active. This point. Okay. So your addressing mode basically specifies how to calculate those effective memory address. This is actually the technical term. Okay, and that thing has been written here. An addressing mode. This, I think this material already has been uploaded in LMS. In unit 1 you will find this material. Okay, so an addressing mode specifies how to calculate the effective memory address of an operand by using information held in registers and or constants contained within machine instructions. So what are the last two statements? That whenever you are getting one operand, some opcode is associated with it, so that is okay, perfectly fine. But now operand, that means some variables or some data where these datas are being stored. So those are the operand. So those are being stored in some memory, right? And parallelly, those data can be used directly from the memory, can be used through some registers. This thing already also we have seen yesterday, right? So that means your addressing mode will specify all these things, that how to calculate the effective memory address, how your registers or constants contained in the machine instruction will be calculated the address, so every other thing. Okay, and the other thing was there that an addressing mode specifies the rule of interpreting or modifying the address field of the instruction before the operand is actually executed. So this point again you can see, yesterday we were giving one example of the two address instruction, right? Or some one address instruction. So what we were observing, that at that time, in case of one address instruction, your accumulator was fetching data from the address, then it was doing some operation, and then sometimes it is storing that result into another location, or it is storing data into the same location maybe. So that means if you think whenever your operand is being stored into another location, so that means its effective memory address is being modified, it's updated, a new location it is founding. Just like say we are right now job in this university. If we change our job into some another university, so our location obviously will be changed, right? So that means our effective address or effective this is not memory address, this is residential address. So effective residential address will be changed, will be modified. So just like this. Okay, so addressing mode also specify this thing. And the next thing, the format, the opcode, mode and address. So this thing already has been discussed. Only the separate or extra thing you will observe here, that is the mode in the diagram, mode. Okay, so this thing has been taken from Maurice Mano. Maurice Mano book, this structure. Okay, and this whole addressing mode has been taken from Maurice Mano. So if you follow the book, you will get the same thing what has been written here. Okay, so that means the format you will first provide the opcode, then the mode will be there, and then the address will be there. So how this mode will be there? Whenever you will perform the instruction set example in your MIPS programming, there you will find sometimes you will write the add instruction with the I. Sometimes you will write the add instruction without I. So whenever you will mentioning this I, so that means it is immediate addressing. Okay, now what is immediate addressing? That thing will also be discussed. So this type of mode will be associated with your opcode. So that means opcode first, then mode, then the address. And the control unit is designed to go through instruction cycle that is divided into 3 major phases. So why we required all this thing? That from the previous day I am saying that instruction address. So why we need this instruction or why we need the address? How you will relate? Before starting of yesterday's class, first I started with which statement? We were starting like that we all are from different zone. We all have some native language. So if you use this native language to your target audience, he has to fetch first your instruction, and if he know your native language, then he will decode it into his own language, then he will understand. Just like say whenever for the first time we actually learn English, okay, rather than our mother tongue is normal, so you can easily speak with that term, that is not an issue. So you can just form sentence that is come from your inner language, that is not a problem. But when you are just learning a new language for the initial part, whenever you are just in childhood phase, so at that time if you try to communicate in English, actually what we did, we first thought any instruction or we first thought any sentence, then in our memory we just translate this English statement from our native language to English language, and then we deliver, right? So now relate this with this, fetch the instruction. That means first you just look that what you have to say in other language, right? Then in your memory, in your processing system, you have just translate this statement from your mother tongue to the second language and then execute. So that means then you just speak this language. Okay, so the same thing actually is happened with our system. Whenever you will give some information or you will give some instruction, it will first fetch, it will decode into its own related language, and then only it can be executed. Okay, so these are the steps, and the example also has been discussed. Now the separate thing or the other thing here we are going to discuss, that is a program counter, PC. At the end of yesterday's class, I told this thing, PC. I don't, okay, maybe in lab I told, so whatever maybe, I am again repeating. So program counter is another register, okay, which will keep track. What track? Say you are executing a set of instructions. Not only always you will execute only one instructions, might be more than numbers of instructions can be there, more than 100 instructions can be there gradually, one by one. So your program counter will keep the track of the instructions, right? How? That first you have to know that from which memory location you will fetch this operand, you will fetch this opcode, all these things. So your program counter first will instruct you that yes, the next statement is this. Then you will act accordingly. Then once you will perform that particular instruction, your program counter automatically update itself to the map of the next instruction. Okay, so that means once you completed your presence instruction, you can directly go to the next instruction. So how we can move from one statement to the next statement? Who actually instruct the system to execute this thing serially? Right? Our program counter instructed our system to execute this thing serially. Or first you have to execute this instruction, then you have to execute this instruction like this way. Okay, so this is another important thing, that is the program counter. So that means whenever you will read this addressing mode, it will be always required to know the program counter, because one instruction you have executed, you need to know that next where you need to go. Who will say you or who will guide you in this regard? Your program counter will guide you in this regard. Okay. So that is the thing has been mentioned, that there is one register called program counter that keeps track of the instructions in the program stored in the memory. Okay. So these were the basic thing of addressing mode. From here already yesterday we knew about operand, opcode, operator. So today we just got two new terms. One is mode, that is the addressing mode basically, and another is this PC or program counter. Right. So now we will gradually move to the addressing mode details. So who are them? That several types of addressing modes can be used. Okay, just like immediate, direct, indirect, register, register indirect, displacement, and stack. So every individual addressing mode has some type of representation, that how you are just giving this instruction or how you are applying this thing. So every other thing. So first thing we will discuss the immediate addressing. Okay. So I will try to explain everything with some example. Now you also try to relate. If not, say me, sir, it is not clear, give some another example. But you need to clear it. Okay, maybe only one addressing mode has been covered today, but clear it. Without getting clear, don't move to the next part. Okay. So can you tell me till now what the things we have discussed, or this program counter, mode, this thing, anything need to repeat again? So I hope I can go to this immediate addressing, right? So every time I will create another blank slide here and I will write here the addressing mode. Okay. Now just look. Why I have not connected my writing pad? It's connected. Very good. Now look, say right now you are doing the online class, right? So we are in not in visual mode. So say this class is being happened in offline. So you are in lecture hall 101 of Bennett. Almost 100 students are there. It's a large room. Okay, you can sit there all. So I am instructing some of you. Let me take one name who are present now. Akshat. So let me give an example that I am here. This is my board. Okay, this is the desk. I am here standing. This is the desk, and you people are sitting here. Okay. Now here I am observing some name of student. I have just seen Akshat, Aditya, Ayush. So all some other students also are there. So here Akshat, here Ayush, here Aditya. So all the students are sitting here. Okay. So now just think that if I ask Akshat now that Akshat just give me your copy. Copy means in which copy you are just writing or noting down or any other thing. I am just asking Akshat, give me your copy. So what he will do? If that copy is with him on that time, that means he is just carrying his copy with him, right? So what he can do? He has the copy himself with himself. So he can simply pass the copy to me. It's very easy, right? So that means if you now think that Akshat is one operand, okay, and sorry, if you think that Akshat is your opcode or copy is your operand, just think this thing up to this. Now again we will come in this situation. So what I have told that you are in classroom, I am taking the class from here, Akshat is sitting here. I have asked Akshat that Akshat please give me your copy. Now Akshat will search in his bag or with him that whether this particular copy with him or not. He found that yes, this copy is with him. So he can easily pass me the copy, right? Now just check what immediate addressing will say. Operand is a part of instruction. Operand is equals to address field, right? So that means what the instruction is being given, your operand itself in the instruction, right? So now just relate it. I have asked for this operand through this instruction, right, to Akshat. So as in the instruction, the copy is directly associated. So that means he can pass me the operand directly without any fail or without any problem. So this type of addressing is being termed as immediate addressing, right? So that means when your operand is itself a part of your instruction, anyone has little bit of difficulty to understand this example first? That means to execute this instruction, he don't need to move anywhere. He can directly just pass me this copy. Right? He don't need to move from this location, from this room. He can easily pass me this copy. So that is the example of immediate addressing. Okay. So now we will check it formally. That operand is a part of instruction. Operand is itself the address field. So how here copy is stored with Akshat. So that means copy is a part of this address field where Akshat is actually sitting. Right? Then the example add AX5H. So it is separate example. It is separate example. Don't mix them. Okay. So add AX, 5H. So H for hexadecimal data. 5 is for some values. Now you are just asking that add 5 to the content of accumulator. So consider this is one accumulator. You are asking your operand to be added with the accumulator. So that means this is a direct data only, data, and this data is being added with the content of accumulator. So that means what is being happened actually? Accumulator content is actually added by 5. So that means no separate memory locations or memory reference you are using, that this 5H is not being stored in any other location. It is itself with the instruction, just like this copy has not been stored in any other place like your hostel room or like your residential address. It is itself staying with Akshat, right? So that is why he can easily pass me this copy. So this is the example of immediate addressing. The same type of addressing you can see that LDA #5. So it is load data into accumulator. Which data? 5. Here obviously 5 is an operand. So that means operand itself in its address field. Okay. So this is actually the structure of this instruction, that operand is a part of your instruction. No separate memory location you are using. So that is why it is fast. This is the advantage. But what is the disadvantage? Limited range. So why you will justify or how you will justify this disadvantage? Limited range. Say Akshat is carrying one copy. That is why he can be able to pass me this. But if I ask him to give me all the copies he has, how he will give me? Because all this copy has been stored in his hostel room, or all these copies has been stored in his residential address, whatever may be, right? So how he will pass me all these copies? Not possible. So that is why immediate addressing is fast, but it has one limited limitation, that it can be acting in a limited range only, right? Because this your instruction not always be able to carry all the operand itself, right? So this was the complete example of immediate addressing. Okay, so I would just like to hear anyone from you that whether I need to repeat it again or any other thing. Just for discussion purpose, you can give me another example, or you can ask me such that how this thing is related or any other. And if okay, then you can tell me, I can pass to the next addressing mode. Actually, these things are very complicated, so that is why I am little bit of worried whether you are properly getting or not. So can I move to the next one, or this thing need to repeat?
Yes, sir.
Which one is yes actually? Move or repeat?
You can move on, sir.
I can move on.
Move. Okay, thank you. And Akshat, you were a little bit of volume low, so I don't know what you told. So I am thinking that you are saying move. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So we have just observed our first example of the immediate first example of the addressing mode, and that one was the immediate addressing. Okay. So here I can write that this was the example of immediate addressing. Okay, now we will move to the next one. What is the next one? Next one is direct addressing. Okay, so before going to the direct addressing, again we will discuss it with our this system, this pattern, that I will first take one example, then I will show some pattern structure and then I will relate it with the theoretical discussion. Okay, so let me again okay, so I can repeat this slide because no, better to draw, okay. So here again the board, here I am, and here some seats. So let me take some different name now. Say it was Aditya. Okay. So now when I was discussing with some topic, again we are in classroom, right? It may be LH101. So say now I am asking Aditya that Aditya, you should pass me your copy of the previous class test or previous unit test, like this. Anything I have asked him. He just searched it, but he didn't found it with him. Right? That always it is not necessary to carry all this thing. Or it is also true that you have come in your classroom with your laptop only. Right? Because most of the thing today's world students used to continue digitally. They have not bring the copy. So then what Aditya told me that sir, it has been stored in my hostel room. Right? It has been stored in my hostel room. Okay. So that means what is actually being happened? I am instructing Aditya or I am asking Aditya for any data. Aditya is searching this data into another location. And which is this location? His hostel room. Different rooms are there. Okay, so maybe this room is allocated to Aditya. So what Aditya will do? If I need it very urgently, he will just rush to the hostel room. He will take back the copy and he will submit it to me. Or if I say that no need to hurry, you can later do this thing also. Usually I say this thing because I am a very lazy person. So then I ask Aditya, okay, no problem, you can give me this thing later. So then he will just stop at that time, but later only when he will just need to give this data to me, he need to just move to his room. He need to take the copy and then again he will come to me and he will submit. So that means what is being happened here? This is one location basically where he is storing the data, right? And how many location he is accessing? Only one location, right? He is just directly going to his room and he is getting that particular copy. So that means only one memory reference he is using, right? So let me check with the technical term now. Direct addressing, right? Address field contains the address of the operand. So address of operand, right? So that means here what he is searching in his room, the copy, and the copy is situated where? In his room. So that means the room location is actually his address. In that location his copy is being stored. I think you can relate, right? So that means effective address is the address field of A. So now if you think that the address field of the copy, address field of the copy is the effective address for in this case. So now if anyone is asking what is your effective address of the copy, what he will say? He will say simply his room number. I don't know the proper room number of the hostel, but let me guess something, just like C101. Simple. So this will be the effective address of this copy at that time. Okay. But previous example, it was not stored into anywhere. It was just stored with him. So it is a part of the instruction itself. So that is the difference. Okay, that is the difference. So now if you read it again, or according to the diagram, that it was my instruction and I was writing that add x with some value. Okay, with some value. So you don't know what is this value, or this is a variable you can think, right? But where is the value actually stored? In memory, right? So your instruction, you have just passed the instruction, variable will your effective address, that means I am trying to say that this operand will search for this value into another location where it has stored the value. In the memory it has stored the value, so that means from the memory it will fetch its value. So that means a is your operand, but a's value has been stored in the memory. Just like another example you can relate easily. Say in the previous example we can think, not previous example, the previous same example, that we usually write this thing like input followed by some variable name, maybe AB, then output, another variable name, then we perform like x is equals to A XOR B, so like this, all these things we have performed. So A is a variable just you are creating, you are not specifying any values. But whenever you are storing some values into this variable, where it is being stored? Obviously in memory. That is the thing. A is your operand, but the value of the operand is being stored in the memory. So once you will get this direct addressing, obviously you have to search in memory first. Now it is quite common confusion to you all that I am saying immediate addressing, I am saying direct addressing, everything is fine. But how our system will know that when it should fetch data from instruction itself or it should fetch data from memory? How your system will know that whether this example is related with the immediate addressing or this example is related with the direct addressing? How it will differentiate? Right? That is one very valid question. So how this thing will be differentiated? Simply what I told, that once you will write the instruction, there is some specific format. And what was those formats? Sorry. What was those formats? This one, opcode, then mode, then address. So that means if you are writing some instruction like add followed by one I, then you are writing some other thing like any operand, any address or any other thing. So as the I is here, that means it is the example of immediate addressing. Whenever you will see that no I is there, that means it is not immediate addressing. It may be direct, it may be register, it may be other thing. Okay. Now also it can be confusion, can create confusion that I or not I. That means immediate or not immediate. But when you are observing a not immediate, that means the other addressing modes. There are also lots of addressing modes. So how you will distinguish between them? So that thing can be distinguished easily by the structure of the instruction. So that is not a difficult issue. Okay, the problem is that to identify which one is immediate, because at that time you cannot fetch the memory. You have to take the data from the instruction itself. So that is being specified by this I. You will see when you will do the lab. So now what we have done till now, we have discussed the immediate addressing, okay, and we have given one example. We have discussed the direct addressing. We have also given one address example. So here I can write, it is the example of direct addressing. Right? So this was the example of direct addressing. Now we will come to the advantage, disadvantage, or every other thing. Okay, say quite common that single memory reference you are using. Single memory reference. Previously we were using no memory reference. Now we are using single memory reference. And parallelly no additional calculation to work out effective address, because if you are asking to Aditya that what is your effective address now when you are fetching the copy, what he will say? He will only pass the information that is related to the room number of his, right? So that is the effective address of him at that time. So that means he don't need to calculate anything, or he don't need to ask anything. He just will check his room number and he will tell it that this is my effective address now. So no, that is why it has been written that no additional calculations to work out the effective address. But the problem is limited address space. Why this limited address space? Previously it was no address space or limited range of operation. Now it is being written as limited address space. What does that mean basically? Say I am asking for one copy, he can be easily able to bring me those copies. But if I ask him that I will store the copy of all 480 students in your room, it will be a little bit of difficult, right? Because there may be 5 to 6 papers and you are almost 470 of strength. So if I ask that I will keep all the 7 multiplied by 470, that means almost 490 and 3290, I hope, if I'm not wrong. So 3290 copies need to be kept in his room. Obviously, it is not possible because he has to keep his own stuffs in his room also. So that means limited address space. Okay, you can store your data, but a certain range of data only you can store, because you are actually using only one effective address. That is the point. Now you can say, sir, this operand is being stored here. Okay, you can also use the other memory locations. So then it will be easier to store. Now the point is, yes, I can store, but those other memory locations is just like the other rooms of the other students. Okay, so without taking their permission, you cannot use their room, right? How without taking their consent I can put my stuffs to the other students' room, right? It is not ethical, it is not possible. That is the point, that you have to take the permission. So that means some other memory type of addressing will come in action, okay, to implement this thing, to access the other locations also. So how you will calculate this thing? Again, we will discuss it on the next day. I don't know for the which one is the next day. Saturday, I think your Tuesday's timetable will be followed. So maybe on Monday or whatever, maybe whenever we will meet in the class again, we can discuss. So that means till now what we observed, that immediate addressing and direct addressing only. Okay, so here we have found that how this direct addressing is being calculated, what was the address of operand, how you will calculate the effective memory address in this case, and the advantage disadvantage. Okay, so now my suggestion would be that you just if possible, obviously, take 10 to 15 minutes time out today and just read once this immediate addressing and direct addressing. It will take hardly 10 minutes to 15 minutes. I hope I am able to make it easier through this real life example. Now, if you read it once, it will be crystal clear. And as I told that we will stop now. So after this class also you can clear it. Okay, so next class onwards, what we will start? Next class onwards, we will start the next addressing, just like indirect addressing, just like register addressing. So all of the other things also are there. So those things I will start on the next day. Okay, so let me first stop the recording.